José, despierten, mi amores. Sí, tengo dos hijos, varón. El primero tiene 11 y el menor tiene 9. Y pues están estudiando en la primaria, en la elemental school. Pues les ha costado bastante por el problema del lenguaje. Y mi hijo mayor es el que más dificultades ha tenido.
¿Y un examen hoy?
¿Ya han comido tu bien? ¿Ya han comido tu bien?
Pues yo pienso que sí ahí, porque ahí le pueden aprender, a enseñar más.
¿Cómo lo coman?
En cambio yo casi no tengo tiempo de estar con ellos. Unas horas nomás. Y temprano me voy otra vez. Entonces es un poco difícil.
Mis metas para ellos, quisiera que terminaran al college y tener una buena educación, una buena carrera para poder servir a otras personas y servir como ejemplo, que yo que estoy sola con ellos, que ellos puedan tener mejor futuro o que sea distinto al mío.
The mornings begin the same. The children start their day, and the parents hope that the public school will provide a future for their children.
Okay, time for announcements. Good morning, teachers, staff, and students. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We do have the highest Hispanic population in Levy County. We have a lot of working class people who don't have the time to support their children's education because they're too busy trying to support their children.
The town of Williston, Florida, is a close-knit community with a population of about 3,000. Traces throughout the area make it clear that this farming town is no longer in its prime. The schools in this rural town are a centerpiece for the community, and Williston Elementary School Principal Jamie Handlin has her challenges. Arguably, Handlin's biggest challenge is providing access to the curriculum for students who are learning English as a second language.
Because there's a lot of kids that are falling through the cracks. A lot of times you'll see kids that are put on computer programs to learn English. The amount of support that child is going to get is very minimal.
Yes, we're following everything to the letter of the law. We are providing the minimum amount of support necessary to meet what expectations are set by the state of Florida. And so the intent of the law was that our students are not getting left behind, but that's not what's happening in our classrooms.
Essentially, the Supreme Court in 1974 ruled that you can't take a child and put them into a regular classroom and not do anything. This violates their ability to access the curriculum.
In rural school districts in Florida, English language learners, or ELLs, are often spread across multiple classrooms with a mainstream teacher. This is known as an inclusion model classroom. Teachers and principals know that most of the ELLs will not pass the Florida Standardized Assessment Test.
Teachers feel some anxiety taking on students who are generating extra work, and I don't have the time for this extra work, and I don't think they're going to succeed, and so there might be some sense of futility. What teachers hear is important is testing, and so teachers do the best they can to meet the expectations that are set for them, which are to maximize returns on data, which in return will improve their evaluations, whereas serving your English learners is generally, I would say, a more thankless task.
Lionel brought his daughter Annabelle here in a desperate search for work. The 10-year-old is part of a traditional inclusion model classroom.
Okay, look at the paragraphs we're focusing
The
on.
teacher is leading a lesson in language arts. Annabelle is given a computer with a mathematics lesson. Other days, Annabelle and another ELL student, Christian, are under the guidance of a fellow fifth grader who the teacher is counting on to translate and/or teach.
Okay, what are we doing?
The first.
Do they know all of them?
Yeah.
They both know all of the English words?
I don't know if he does.
Okay.
She does.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is common because of the challenges that teachers face in working in inclusive classrooms. When I see a child that's alone and doesn't know what to do and sort of left there in a classroom, that really bothers me. That's sad.
When I see kids that have made such progress each year, and then they get to fourth grade and fifth grade, and then they start to flounder or don't grow or they're stagnant, that can change their trajectory of their education. I said, well, what if we did something different? I mean, we've been doing the same old. Our students aren't making the gains they need to make. We're actually losing ground with our ELL students, especially when they get to the secondary setting. So, what is it that we could do different?
And she came up with the idea that what if we put together a classroom where we have our former English learners and English learners, but children from similar language backgrounds in the same classroom, and give them the best teacher we can find and the resources that they need to make it work. As a pilot, will that work? Will that really improve learning if we do this for 1 year?
Your number should be 564-312.
Hanlon called upon her longtime colleague Becky Childs to implement the county's first self-contained, sheltered English immersion community classroom with bilingual support. The community classroom is made up of current and former ELL students. Childs, who is monolingual, has the same curricular demands as the rest of the district. However, she will be challenged to differentiate instruction based on language background of her students.
And with this group, they were so used to being quiet that it even made it more challenging, because I would ask questions and you could hear crickets in the room. It was so quiet. They're used to, if I don't respond, if I say nothing, then maybe she'll forget that she called on me, or she won't ask for me to answer. And I had a whole classroom of students like that who literally didn't want to speak, ever.
How can I find what 6 times 8 is using the numbers that are already here? Angie.
30 plus 18.
Excellent. So I could do over here 30.
What I had to teach them first in here is, if you don't know the word in English, say it in Spanish. Then students starting feeling more confident, because if they didn't know the word in English, okay, I'm gonna say it in Spanish, and someone in the room will be able to tell me what the English word is.
So what are we gonna write in our first box?
It is risky because you're highlighting the difference of these students. You're saying, you all have in common that you're different, but that's a good thing, and we're gonna use what you have as an asset.
Esta clase es diferente de las otras que he tenido, porque a veces cuando no entiendo algo en otras clases, los años pasados no entendía nada. Como cuando decía la maestra esto y esto, y luego yo me quedaba con eso en la mente y decía, esto no lo puedo hacer, ¿cómo lo voy a hacer? I feel more comfortable in this class because I can talk the language I came from, like my language, like Spanish. Like forgetting your language and talking another one that's not yours, that just doesn't make sense.
Se ve más motivación, se ve más motivación, los niños más contentos. Y se les facilita más. Mi hijo se ha notado más en las notas, que ha mejorado bastante. Y está feliz, antes iba triste.
In 3rd grade, I was getting a little better, and in 4th grade, yes, I'm doing much better.
There is no doubt that teacher Becky Childs created an atmosphere where ELL students were no longer the quiet, virtually invisible children. These days, it's difficult for them to be quiet at all.
Does this look like 10? No. What does centi mean? 100. So that's where those prefixes come in handy.
ELL students displaying more confidence is evident. But confidence is not a measurement the Levy County School District or the state of Florida demand from its school principals and teachers.
This year, my anxiety was a little higher, knowing that this model that if we didn't have a turnaround of results that could back up the research that we were using, then we may have to reconsider what we were doing.
Vaya bien, ¿eh? Qué ganas.
It's May 1st. Today, fourth graders at Williston Elementary School will go through Florida State Assessment testing, a critical and stressful day for educators and students alike. It will be a long 2 months before test results are made available.
As we got closer to the date that they're going to release the scores, yes, the anxiety level definitely grew, because I knew that what I even was doing this year was dependent on how those scores looked.
Well, I think that overall you should be proud of yourself with these scores because they're phenomenal. When the scores came in, I said yes. I was happy. Like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised about ELA. I didn't, I thought that we'd have not as much proficiency, and have good growth. And then the math has blown me away. And you were 86, I think, on EOC for science.
Very excited to see some 5s.
Isn't that awesome?
I'm proud of my kids. The fact that they met me halfway and did the work. I'm very proud of them and what they've accomplished.
The Florida State Assessment is a measurement of a student's proficiency in English Language Arts, or ELA, and mathematics. The question types are designed to assess higher-order thinking skills and offer diverse ways for students to demonstrate what they know and can do. After a review of the Community Classroom FSA test scores, proficiency in math was 84%, while proficiency in ELA was 69%. Overall student growth in math was 85%, while growth in ELA was 60%. These numbers were above average for the school and were also above average for the Levy County School District. This year, Williston Elementary will continue with the community classroom model in both 4th and 5th grade and will share results as they become available.
When we continue to allow children to build their knowledge of their first language and learn how to communicate in their first language and read and write in their first language, that becomes a tool for them to simply transfer from what they know in their first language into English. And that's one of the reasons why bilingual programs are so effective.
I've been able to share out a couple of times what we did to make those changes. I think that we were just all focused on just putting them in a class together. And that's not exactly what happened. That's what people might want to see, is them just being in a class together, but there was a lot more that went on inside that classroom that led to those students growing like they did.
It's let me know that I really still have to dig deeper into how to build on their literacy skills from their first language to make it a reality for them to get that reading growth that they need to be on grade level.